Despite 100 years of undoubted progress, however, the role of women in business is still rather limited. With us to talk about this is Andrea Martin. She is a senior banker at RBS and president of the City Women's Network. Good morning. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Now, Gordon Brown, British Prime Minister, was hosting a breakfast this morning, and he said that when more than half of graduates are women, it is completely unacceptable that some of our top 100 companies have not got a single woman on the board, and none have got a majority of women on their boards. It's quite a damning statistic. Why do you think it is?
I mean, you hear arguments around the fact that there's a supply issue. It's not a supply issue. It's a demand issue. When you think about women in business and women going into business, there's a lot of argument that women, when they reach their mid-30s and the like, fall off of business and go and raise families and the like. But as you know, we've seen, and as I look at members of my network, there are a number of women who have over the years worked and worked and worked and feel like they've done so tirelessly, but just haven't gotten the opportunities that they would like over the years, as opposed to it having been any other issue.
And so really the problem is that we have a culture at the moment that's going to take an awfully long time to change, because until there are pathways, role models for women to see, pathways for women to work out how to perhaps make a career that also includes having a family life balance. While there aren't those women in the boardroom to show other women how to do that, it makes it increasingly difficult, isn't it?
It does make it increasingly difficult, but actually it's not just about women with families, because there are a number of women who by choice have chosen not to because they wanted to focus on career and are facing the same issues.
Yes.
So it's not just about, you know, we obviously want to have work-life balance, and we obviously want to be in a position where we can balance our families and work, but it's not just about that. It is also about, you know, making sure there's opportunity for women all across the spectrum, even those who don't have children, and there are lots of those too.
And does that actually mean you think that there is just still a blanket discrimination against women getting those very top-level jobs?
Certainly, and I'm not certain if it's discrimination or people mirroring what they see, right?
Yeah.
So what tends to happen is, as we go into hiring situations, it's a blindness to those top women. And when there aren't so many, your voice isn't always heard, and that makes it much more difficult as a senior woman in business.
It's interesting. There's also a survey out today that was commissioned to go along with International Women's Day from the government, and really it's all quite striking in the sense that across the country there seems to be an acceptance that women should absolutely be in top positions. And there's also, which is a little bit depressing, the idea that everyone thinks that this is going to happen really soon, that, okay, it might not be here, but in 10 years, 15 years' time, it'll all be fine. Actually, statistics show that that's not likely to be the case unless something much more positive is done.
That's absolutely right. It's not just going to happen. You know, experience shows us that it takes some time to make change happen. However, organizational leadership are responsible for ensuring that this happens. If they don't, that's when legislation is typically imposed, as with anything else, right?
Yeah.
So as we look at, say, France, for example, and Sarkozy and the UMP party saying, actually, by 2015, we expect to have 50% of women in boardrooms. That's exactly the right approach. That's exactly what we'd like to see. In the UK, it would be great if that could happen. And as you said this morning, Gordon Brown is having conversations with some senior women at number 10 as we speak around how we can increase diversity initiatives in the UK.
And you think legislation really is the only way to make it happen?
You know, if people don't make it happen, then the government has to make it happen. And leadership of you know, our FTSE 100 and FTSE 250 organizations have a real opportunity to demonstrate that we're leaders in this space. We're the third largest economy in Europe, and we should be able to make it happen without having legislation.
Okay. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this morning.
Thank you.